In this lesson, we're gonna check how we can access Jupyter Notebook to access data in OCS. Jupyter Notebook is a web-based development environment. It's open source, so we can use that to write code and just over the web. And it includes IntelliSense and so on. So in this case, we're going to work with Python code in Jupyter Notebook. So we're going to look at that in this lesson. Plus, we're also going to check how we can use the API console in OCS. So this is like an introductory lesson to how to use Jupyter Notebook, because later on in the lab, we're going to use that to create like a script to access data in OCS and work with that data. Specifically with the wind turbine data we prepared in the previous lessons. So what we're gonna do first is access the virtual machine. So each student should access their own virtual machine. And then on the desktop, there's a folder called Lab Material. You can double click that. And then there's a batch script called Start Jupyter Notebook. So we're gonna double click that. And this is gonna open Jupyter Notebook in the browser. And what we're gonna see is basically a representation of that folder where we open the batch file from over the web. So we're gonna see some scripts which are already there. We're gonna use those later on in upcoming sessions. But for now, what we can do is we're just gonna look at what the Jupyter Notebook looks like. So here you can see like the folder you're in. You can browse to different folders. You can check the contents of the existing folders. You can click on any of the files to open them. Again, you're opening them in Jupyter Notebook in the browser. Or you can create a new file. So what I'm going to do first is create a new file. And you can do that by clicking New on the top right. And then Python 3, because we're working with Python version 3. And this will basically open a new file where you can start adding like your code snippets. You can add them in different cells. So you can see here at the top, you can run the cells. You can add a new cell by clicking on Insert Cell. So it's like creating different blocks of code which can be run individually. So that's the idea behind it. So in the upcoming lessons, you can either create your own file like we just did in Jupyter Notebook and then save it and call it something. So now I'm just going to call it like new file. Okay. Or you can just open an existing files which we've already created for you. So the two files we're gonna work with in the upcoming lessons are, well, the main one we're gonna work with is called Wind Turbine OCS Data OCS Python Library. And this file accesses OCS using libraries we have created. They're on GitHub. If you want more information on that, they're in Appendix D. So that's one file we're going to work with. We also included another file which shows how you can access OCS using the OCS API as is, without the libraries we've provided. So the libraries basically help you out with working with OCS because they're like pre-built libraries. So you can call the functions in there. However, if you want to work directly with the API, you can do that. And we have a script which shows that as an example. Okay. So yeah, you can, later on in the lessons, you can either follow we're basically going to work with the OCS Python library file. So we can either work with that file. So I'm just going to open it so you can see. So you can either follow along with this file, and in the next lessons, we are going to go through each cell here and define the codes inside it. You can either run the code here, or you can work with the new file you've created and copy paste the code snippets if you want to work with your own file. Okay, so these are the two ways we're going to work with later on.